Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Skeeney. I'm primarily known as a comedy writer. You may have heard my jokes if you've seen any of the Comedy Central roasts or the roast of Tom Brady or a bunch of other things. Today, I would like to welcome you to our new podcast, Gambling State University. It's about the story of Shinehead, the former king of college betting. This is a true crime story that centers around college, gambling, the mob, the cops, everything you can think of. Let me ask you this. What would you do if you were put in this situation? You're a college student who's great with numbers, you love sports and card games, you're put in charge quickly in your freshman year of your fraternity house sports book because of all those attributes. And thanks to all those attributes, you quickly see an area to make changes in order to maximize your profits, and you use those changes to go on a 4-year winning streak as a bookie, taking bets with college students from your own campus at first, to other fraternity houses on your own campus, to other fraternity houses on other campuses, and eventually 5 or 6 other colleges throughout the Southeast. How would you do things like, I don't know, avoid jail time or being busted by the cops or, the dean of your college, or even worse, your parents or the mob? At one point, you have so much cash coming in, it's stacked from floor to ceiling in your dorm room.
So to kind of just cut to the chase, the bottom line was I was a college bookie. And most individuals, most students that went to school in the South where football is king, bet. They gambled. Very different than that is today, where you have sites and things to go to. At that time, you had to call a bookie and make a bet. And it was consistently every week. I was the person that started from the very beginning, taking bets from friends, fraternity brothers, those sort of things. And it just kind of grew, and it got a little bigger, and it got even bigger. And it just catapulted into this business operation that was throughout multiple college campuses in the entire Southeast.
Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up?
So I grew up in South Florida, just lived the life that very few kids get to live. A great place, a great parents, playing sports, never in trouble. Just about as white picket fence type of family that you could have. That's what I had.
You decided to pass on your athletic scholarship to take the math scholarship, correct?
Exactly.
And you parlayed that into still working with sports. Tell me about the fraternity house when you first got there.
The sports, that was never going to go away. It was just a big part of my life. And growing up, in a smaller town in Florida, showing up to a big university in the South, in the deep South, it was a complete culture shock, right? So I show up there, pledge a fraternity, and really it kind of just got me out of my shell. I completely changed, right? I was a really focused, more on the shy side, never got in trouble kind of a kid all growing up. And then when I got to school, I never got in trouble, but things that I did were very out of character. Very, very few people could ever imagine that where I came from and prior to going to college, what I ended up doing and what I got involved in. And it wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. Kind of like the 4 years there, things just kind of happened. And I just kept going with it and going a little farther and pushing a little more. And it just kept going and going. And I kind of thought I was pretty much invincible, and I didn't stop.
Without asking you the exact amount, you made a lot of money off of this venture, correct?
I made a lot of money. My partners made a lot of money. We used a lot of that money to enjoy our time at school. probably what was a little different from me than others is I put a lot back. I saved a lot back. One, because as your operation grows, this is a cash business. You know, occasionally you do lose, and there is times when you got to pull, you know, a wad of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars out of the bank of Shinehead, right? I mean, you're not rolling into Wells Fargo, you know, making $20,000 deposits, and nor are you going in there, you know, at your local bank asking, can I get $15,000 today? They kind of look at a college kid a little sideways when you're operating in that kind of money.
Before we get into that, I have to ask, as a child, I remember you had a love of cards because I remember we all played poker all the time, or at least guts, which is another form of poker that's the best form of poker for people who don't know how to play poker.
I think that game that we originally started, it was kind of one of those, it was, you know, you're playing quarter poker with your buddies and you're trying to build the pot, right? I mean, if you lose, you might have lost like $10 or $15. This game was meant to just grow the pot exponentially. And sometimes it got a little out of hand even when we're in high school. I mean, you know, they're not playing sometimes for like $5 or $15. The match might have been like $200. Right. And you're like, damn, I wasn't expecting this to come rolling in here. I thought I was going to be, you know, going to the dog track tomorrow. And that's kind of how it started. And I'm not really sure how, but I always wanted things to get bigger, right? I didn't like playing or doing anything for small potatoes. If I was going to win, I wanted to win. And I wanted to put some money in my pocket. If I was going to lose, I was willing to take the risk, and I got beat.
Let's quickly explain for the audience what guts is for those who don't know. If you could give me a description of it.
It's kind of like 3-card poker, 1 card up, 2 cards down. Whoever's the low man has to stay in.
It's that. Well, hold on. That's the version that you created.
So I created the one that normal guts is you just say 1, 2, 3, you drop your cards if you're in.
Right.
If you're the only one, you take the pot. If it's somebody else, you got to duke it out. Whoever wins on those 3 cards takes the pot. Whoever loses matches.
Right. And just for the record also, it's just 3 cards as in highest card, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind. There's no straights or no flushes or anything like that. So it's just the 3 cards.
3 cards. Right?
So when you're playing and you're holding your cards, there's always that time of if you want to stay in that you've got to hold them. If you're out, you drop. And we would always have the problem of somebody trying to see what everyone else was doing first. So they'd hold their cards and then drop late, which is why I believe one of the 2 reasons why you came up with the version called Fish Guts, which if you could explain the difference in regular
Fish Guts, when one of the cards, when your 1 card was up, if you were the low man, you had to stay in, right? So you're already almost going to be a loser.
Because Pimp Guts, which is the other version of that, which is high card stays in. If you have the high card and I see that I can't beat your ace, there's no way I'm going to go in. With your version having the low card stay in, there's definitely more of a chance that if you have a 2, I think I could beat your 2 that's showing, so I'm going to go in. So it forces more people to go in, and everyone who loses has to match the pot. So when you're talking a pot that starts at $5 to $10, quickly, what do we put on a $20 burn?
Usually?
Yeah. Burn at $20. So now you have 5 people who all lost, who just threw in $20. So now the pot is at 120 or whatever it is. Now everyone has to match that, or at least you've got a chance to win 120 off of your $20 burn. So it was worth it every time to risk the $20 to lose, because that pot would grow exponentially. And the next thing you know, there's $1,000 on the table, and high school kids are doing whatever they can to.
They're scrambling.
Yeah, scrambling.
Right? You're scrambling.
Right.
The only way it ends, if the person that had the worst card somehow pulls pulls a 2 or a 3 of a kind. I mean, it's very unusual that the low man can come through and win.
Right.
So you're almost guaranteed of at least a double or a triple pot match every time. So generally, most people, that's not the game that they would choose when it's dealer's choice.
Right.
But as the night came on, it would usually end up that, okay, it's my deal. We're playing fish guts. And you couldn't pass, right? I mean, if you're in, you're playing, you're in. If you're out, then you're out for the night.
I was fascinated by the fact that we were playing this in high school, or even middle school, I guess, for me. And it would be the quickest game. It would be the most emotional game because everyone is either in or out and they get screwed or they win big. But what was really interesting is knowing the story about where your brain worked with being a college bookie, eventually. This was the most fascinating story to me because I realized this was a true insight into your personality, that you were the whole time trying to figure out how to make more money, increase your chances, and get as much as you can out of the game, which seems to be the same principles you applied to being a bookie.
Right. So you're not cheating, right? Good gamblers, good poker players, they're looking for an angle, something when they can take that calculated risk that's got a big reward, right? So you try to minimize your losses, but when there's an opportunity to really cash in, that's when you make your move. And it's the same thing as I was booking, is most college bookies, if too much money got on one side, they would not take the risk. They just wouldn't take the risk. And they had to pass those bets off to someone else. And when they would pass them off, that's where I would come in. That's how it started. So somebody was unwilling to take $1,000 bet on whoever, UGA or Alabama or whatever. I never, ever did not accept a bet.
Really?
Didn't matter the amount or what side. I didn't care who the team was, who the school was. I just calculated that my chances of the book was better chances winning than the gamblers themselves. And the majority of the time, the bookie wins for whatever reason. If it's fixed or not, I have my own opinions on some things that I personally witnessed and was a part of. But the book, the house, the casino normally pulls it in. In my 4 years of doing this, I can count on one hand of losing weeks.
Was that your first week?
No, hell no. The first week probably even got me a stronger appetite. I'm like, damn, this is pretty easy. I'm like, shit, if I can do this with like 10 guys, imagine what the hell it would be like with 20 or 100. That was kind of what I was thinking. It's like anything. You got to build up your clientele. You got to build up a bank so you can cover your losses, those sort of things. And that's kind of what happened is most college books, they were unwilling to take on a bigger risk. Either they didn't have the bank to cover it, or they just simply were unwilling to take on. I mean, if you got some money, yeah, you can cover $1,000, but it's a little different when there's $10,000 riding on one game on one side. If you lose, you got to come up with it, right? The bookie always has to pay. The gambler, you want them to pay, and I think I say this all the time. We are not in the booking business. We're in the collection business. The book wins. We're going to win. We got to make sure we collect. End of story. If we don't collect, we're in a losing operation. Because we always got to pay out. We got to pay out every week. If they don't pay in, we still got to pay out. So that's our motivation. If you want it to come out of your skin or your ass, then we better go and collect.
What were you like in high school? You were, in my opinion, if I remember correctly, a teetotaler. You didn't drink, you didn't party, you studied, you had excellent grades. Am I correct?
I made great grades. I was probably the one kid, the one athlete that was so focused. I was not going to get in trouble, period. One, I probably was afraid from my parents of me getting in trouble, but that's just how I was, and I think it's kind of similar to my just full personality is if I was going to work hard at doing something, I wasn't going to do something stupid that was going to ruin all the hard work that I put in. When I left home and then went outside where there was no one that knew me, I started with a clean slate. So they didn't know whether or not I was a, wet dream, every mom's, that's who they wanted to date, or if I was this fictitious dude that would lay the wood down and really be a little rough around the edges. No one knew me before, so it was fresh.
3-sport athlete, correct, in high school?
I did sports. I was a really good high school athlete. Could have played at some, decent schools and things, but I really kind of decided I'm not sure I want to work that hard at it, and maybe I'm just not that good enough to make it a career.
You had scholarships for both athletics and academics, correct?
Both.
How many scholarships were you offered?
I would say probably athletic-wise, 10 to 12, maybe.
Academic?
I would say a couple, can't get that with getting in trouble or not having pretty good grades and doing pretty well.
I completely agree. It obviously shows your acumen, your intelligence, and your athletic skills wound up becoming the person who essentially was in charge of gambling for over a lot of universities by the time you became a senior. And by a lot, I'm going to say maybe 5 or 6. Is that correct?
At least. You named the big school in the Southeast, and that area, the people, the environment is centered around the university. They're university towns. Football is king. Saturday is a really, really big thing. Kids that grow up in that area are around so much sports. Their dads are betting. They've got bookies. So, gambling is just part of the culture that goes around with the game.
Is gambling looked at the same way that drinking is?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so I'm taking that means that gambling is actually approved where drinking is not.
Yeah, it's assumed, right? It's assumed. If you're a guy and you're going to school, you're going to a big school in the Southeast, you're probably going to be gambling. You're going to be betting on Saturday. You're going to be going to the game. You're going to have some money riding on it. You're either going to be real happy when the game's over or you're going to be really pissed. And then if it doesn't go your way, on Sunday, when pro football rolls around, then you're going to try to figure out how to make it back up. And then when Monday night football rolls around, if you're down even more, you got to figure out the double up and catch up. And then Tuesday comes around and you got to go to Shinehead's apartment and settle up. It's a vicious cycle for the entire quarter, semester, and you get caught up in it. They get very much caught up in it. And as the bookie, I did too. It was a thrill. I liked the thrill of knowing that there was a lot riding on certain things.
Was it more interesting or thrilling to you to know that you're getting all this money versus actually getting the money, if you know what I mean? Like the thrill of just like getting that like on social media where it doesn't really mean anything, but you still feel the endorphins from it.
Oh, it's a massive. It is a huge high. One, you start being really, really nervous, right? Because you don't know. It's a game. It might go your way. It might not go your way. But over time, you learn that more things seem to were rolling my way than as opposed to the gambler itself. And I would say easy 90% of people every week lost. There would be maybe 10% that won.
Would that upset you?
No, I didn't care if they lost. I didn't care how much they lost. Nobody put a gun to their head to call in and say, hey, I'm number 418 and I want $100 on this. I didn't really have limits. I would set limits with certain people because I didn't want them to get out of control and know that they then would have difficulty paying. But I didn't let people skate. If you lost, it was down to the nickel. We didn't cut deals. If you won, you expected me to show up and give you every penny that you won. But if you lost, it had to go both ways. The more I got into it, I was not afraid to ensure that we were collecting.
And that's a perfectly chilling place to wrap up our introduction to this funny and dark tale of the rise of Shinehead, the possible king of collegiate bookies. Please join us on this true crime journey as episode 2 explores what happened when Shinehead was put in charge of his fraternity house's sportsbook and how he tweaked the system to maximize his returns, while we'll discuss his expansion across campus as his eventual empire begins to take shape. Join me, Kevin Skeeney, and Shinehead on Gambling State University, Episode 2. Thank you.